Hey everybody, it's Lawrence, and I wanted to talk to you today about, well, the future. In fact, in essence, I'm coming to you from the future. And the future is that I have been spinning around this planet for, well, quite a while. And I've learned a lot because I started my spiritual path when I was very young, because I was dealing with a lot of like physical, sexual, and emotional abuse in my life. And as a result of that, I was asking questions that other kids weren't asking very early on, because it was very clear to me that life is not, it's not all the shit that people pretend it is. Like there's all this stuff that people are pretending to be, but it's like really 98% lies. And it's a lot of lies, is all I'm saying. And so people are like, hey, I'm spiritual and I love you, and, whatever the thing is. And then, in reality, they've got a whole other life that they're living, which is fine. So, here's the thing. Here's the bottom line. Bottom line is that I'm coming from the future. I'm coming from the future to tell you that I've spent more than 30 years of my life on a spiritual path. And the realization I came to is that there is no path. Truly. There is no ideology. There is no philosophy. Everybody is lying or delusional. And they may be well-intended, which they are. There's so many sweet people out there in cults and creating cults and thinking, having magical thinking and believing in crazy stuff. And I get it, because they're just trying to figure it out like everybody else is. But 30 years of searching, about a decade ago, I came to the realization that there are only really two spiritual paths that everything reduces down to. And both of those paths reduce down to a kind of, a viewpoint of life and death. And then those paths reduce down to kind of one big path. And that's the path of everything, nothing. So everything, nothing that's the path that is the path. That's like, I can reduce every religion, every spiritual practice, every cult can be reduced down to either everything or nothing. And what I mean by that is like, the philosophy, we are all one, or the philosophy of there is nothing and we're heading back to the nothingness. And if we're in the we are all one path, then that subdivides into, the struggle of good over evil, or this over that. So it's a much longer story, but the point is this. There's only a couple philosophies out there that have been painted and scraped over and, just repackaged, but they're all saying the same thing. And they're not saying the same thing because they're all true. They're saying the same thing because they're all delusional. And that's the part that, is just hard for people to understand. Like, how could Buddha be delusional? But clearly, especially once I share with you kind of the underlying teachings here, you would just see, like, it becomes so obvious. You don't even have to take my word for it. It just becomes obvious that Buddha was delusional and narcissistic and self-centered and just didn't have a lot of information about how life really is. So, but that doesn't stop a billion people from believing in it. And it's not to say that some of the practices of Buddhism aren't amazing. But all the philosophy and ideology and ways of living and all that, nonsense that goes with that are, that really is the issue. And that goes for everything from, that's Buddhism. And then you go into Christianity, or you go into Judaism, or you go into Islam. They're all saying the same thing, but not because they're true, but because really the teachers and the philosophers and the people who came up with this stuff were either delusional, or they were, maybe they were true believers, or maybe they were lying. And so, we don't really know, but we do know what the facts are. And so the facts speak for themselves. You don't have to believe anything I'm telling you, literally. If you just have some facts, then you can just be like, oh, it becomes obvious. It's like, you know, if I tell you, I don't know, let's say the sky is blue. You know, little kids don't even know what the word blue is. I'm not even sure they're able to perceive blue. They have to kind of learn blue and make the distinction. But once you see blue and you make that distinction, then you're like, oh, okay, that's blue. Blue sky was always there. I mean, obviously the label is irrelevant. It's just a label, but the sky was always there. The light was always doing what the light was doing. Your eyes are receiving that data, but you just didn't have a label. It was always there. And so many of these philosophies are just labels and misunderstandings of reality, a lot of mislabeling. And so the reason I say I'm coming from the future is I'm coming from the future because I've just been around all these, you know, I'm here on these grounds, and there's all these, you know, sweet people, searching people. And there were two guys in particular that I met, and I was like, guys, listen to me, you know, I'm double your age. And I'm coming from the future, and I'm coming from the future to say to you, listen, here's what I have to say. So I'm going to say this to you. Number one, don't believe anything too much, if at all, because people lie all the time. And they say one thing and do others, and they have ideas about things that are incorrect, but they'll die being right, because we're humans. We make meaning, and we want to be right all the time. And that's about philosophy and religion and ideologies and spiritual practices and all of that. Number two, fuck more. Fuck more, because life is short. So you can take a path of pain and suffering, and, you know, 80, 90, probably 98% of the religions, ideologies, philosophies, cults, ideas, ideals, including Est and any of these other core philosophies, they essentially are taking the path of pain and suffering while pretending not to. So to me, those are the worst kinds of cults, because they're pretending to be something that they're not, and they're throwing smoke and mirrors and fairy dust in your eyeballs and telling you one thing and doing another. It's crazy. And when you see the underlying patterns, it's so clear and so obvious. So I said, look, to these two guys specifically, I said, I am your future self, and I'm here to tell you, A, stop taking shit so seriously. B, there is no one true path. There will never be. Nothing you believe is correct. Most of what you believe is incorrect. Let's just say that. And if you think you got it, you don't. If you think you understand it, you don't. If you think you have the path, you don't. Everything will shift and change. It's all made up. All the philosophies, spiritualities, religions are completely made up. And you know, so stop looking for truth. There is none. Okay? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you think. You don't have to take my word for it. If you had a belief and felt super strongly about it, and now you don't have that belief anymore, you realize that no matter how strongly or deeply you feel about something, things change. You get new information, new understanding. Something you believed as deeply with your whole soul, you might have gone like, oh, I was incorrect, and then you drop it, and then it's gone. So beliefs change, feelings change, our ideas change, and there's a lot of shit that we're dealing with right now that you're stressed out about in your life that is just based on a whole lot of nothing. So, as your future self, speaking to the younger you, if you're watching this, don't take anything too seriously, and have more sex. Why? Sex makes you feel good, especially if you're doing it without guilt and shame. So, you know, the first step is to rid yourself of guilt and shame, and the first step to do that is to realize all of these religious philosophies and ideas about sex being bad and all that is just made up from basically from people who either have no experience or who hate women. It's a very common religious perspective. Or have, or believe that women are somehow a scourge or whatever, and believe that you have to transcend sex to step into true spiritual power and reality, which is all bullshit. Truly. So, fuck more. Learn how to connect deeply. I have my Tantra XO program for women, my Tantra X program for men. Those are both just about learning how to breathe and connect and feel good in your body. No particular philosophy. I don't really care what you believe. If you want to believe in the green giant, fine. Do you feel good? Great. Are you having good sex? Awesome. Are you having fun in your life? Perfect. Because that's what I'm up to. So if you want to come play, feel free to subscribe to the channel. Come visit my website, lawrencelanoff.com. I have the book that reveals the magic trick of spirituality and spiritual paths, called A Course in Freedom. It's about breaking free and expanding your mind, and stepping out of all the boxes you've been living in and that everybody wants to get you in. And then Tantra X is just, that's all about just teaching you how to feel good in your body and really live in your freedom and your choice and your ability to live passionately and just have fun, man. Because we're all gonna die soon enough, and how you spend your time is up to you. So you might as well spend it doing things that make you feel good, that make other people feel good, that take you to a place of connection and depth and freedom. And so as the future self, I say, lighten up, fuck more. Don't believe any of these folios, especially the stronger they argue about rules and laws and are trying to tell you how to live your life and all this shit. They're fucking lying. So don't even bother. I said this to the guys I was talking to. I was like, look, whatever they have to say about sex, and pretty much every religion and spirituality is doing some shaming around sex. Even Tantra, because like tantric sex is the good sex and the other stuff you're doing is the bad sex, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Makes me want to projectile vomit. But I was like, look, man, don't, just these guys that are acting like they've got this figured out, they don't. And you don't know what they're doing in their private lives. You just don't. You don't know what they're thinking about. And they could be really intense and be holding up this sham of a life that they're like, I've figured it out and I've transcended sex and I blah 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 blah. It's all fucking bullshit. Honestly, all of it. They're lying. And that's why I say, even if I met Buddha, it's when you're dealing with reality, it doesn't take much to have people crying because belief systems are so easy to break apart. It's just hilarious because you just have to ask a few questions. That's why when you start asking questions, religion says, oh, just have faith, just have trust. You don't have faith, blah, blah, blah. It's because if you ask questions, it's going to lead you out of the cult and out of the box and out of the religion and out of the Bible and out of the tomes of spiritual text, because you start to realize it's just a bunch of nonsense. Anyway, that's all I got for you today. That's a lot. But I just couldn't leave this place because it was just, I've heard so much bullshit since I've been here, and I feel so badly for people because they really believe they're figuring it out, and really they're just getting programmed out of one box into another box, and programmed in from one cultish thinking into a new cultish thinking. And yeah, so here we are. So meanwhile, I'm just enjoying the day, and I thought I would talk to you guys because I'm, I know you're out there. I know the people that are really wanting to step out of all the nonsense and live. I know you're out there, so I'm talking to you. Anyway, have a beautiful day wherever you are on planet Earth, and I hope you enjoy this teaching this video, feel free to share it. Talk to you soon.